You ever feel like the American dream didn't disappear? It just raised the cover charge. What if the real question isn't do you work hard, but how expensive is the ladder where you live? In the next few minutes, I'll show you 3 numbers that explain why the dream feels harder today, and one missing piece almost nobody talks about until the very end. Here's the roadmap. Price number 1 is mobility. How often kids actually do better than their parents. Price number 2 is housing, because a home is basically the dream's logo now. Price number 3 is debt. Not just your debt, America's debt, and how it gets rolled over. And at the end, I'll give you a way to talk about the dream that's not naive and not cynical. Stick around for price number 3, the twist. Let me start with a simple thought experiment. 2 kids are born on the same day, same country, same decade. But one grows up in a place with strong schools, stable housing, safe streets, connections. The other doesn't. We like to say the dream is about hard work, but mobility is the scoreboard. And the scoreboard changed. Researchers at Opportunity Insights found that about 90% of kids born in 1940 earned more than their parents, but for kids born in the 1980s, it dropped to about 50%. That's not a small decline. That's like the dream went from most people climb to it's basically a coin flip. So what changed? Did people suddenly get lazy, or did the ladder get way more expensive? Now, let's talk about the dream's biggest symbol, a home. If the dream is stability, housing is the foundation. But for a lot of people, housing isn't a foundation anymore. It's a weight. In 2023, the Census Bureau reported 49.7% of renter households spent more than 30% of their income on housing costs. And here's the thing. When rent eats your flexibility, it also eats your choices. Education, saving, starting a family, taking a risk, starting a business. And this connects directly to the third price, because when housing gets tight, people borrow, and so does the country. Next, the debt engine. Okay, this is the part people argue about online, but most arguments miss how the system actually works. As of Feb 12, 2026, total U.S. federal debt was about $38.65 trillion. But economically, the key measure is debt held by the public, the part financed in markets, and that's around $30 trillion. Now here's the misunderstood part. The U.S. doesn't pay off its debt like a household pays off a mortgage. A big chunk of it is continuously refinanced. That's what rolling over the debt means. When securities mature, the government can pay them using cash on hand, or it issues new treasuries to replace the old ones. So who buys those treasuries? Yes, Americans do, banks do, pensions do, but foreign investors are also a major part of the buyer base. The Federal Reserve noted that in Q1 2025, foreign investors held about $9 trillion, roughly 32% of marketable treasuries outstanding. And a Congressional Research Service report said that in December 2024, foreigners held about 30% of publicly held debt, and interest paid to foreign holders in 2024 was about $230.6 billion. Myth versus reality. China owns the U.S. Reality, global investors finance U.S. treasuries, diverse buyer base. Now the bigger external financing piece. In 2024, the U.S. ran a $1.13 trillion current account deficit. In plain English, as a country, we bought more from the world than we sold, and that gap is financed by money flowing back in, like foreign purchases of U.S. assets, including treasuries. So the system works until borrowing costs jump or confidence wobbles, and when that happens, the price of the dream rises, because rates show up everywhere. Mortgages, credit cards, business loans, government interest costs. When rates rise, everything gets pricier. So, is the American dream dead? I don't think it's dead. I think it's unevenly priced. Hard work matters, but starting point, housing costs, and the debt and rate environment decide how far hard work can realistically go. And that missing piece I promised at the start? The dream isn't just a personal story. It's a policy story too, because mobility is shaped by things individuals can't buy on their own. Housing supply, education quality, healthcare costs, and whether the economy rewards work broadly or funnels gains upward. Price number 1, mobility fell. Price number 2, housing pressure is huge. Price number 3, debt gets rolled over and partly financed globally. So here's my take. The American dream shouldn't be a slogan that blames people who struggle. It should be a reality where effort actually has room to work. Quick question for you. When you hear American dream, what's the first word you think of? Home, freedom, stability, or opportunity? Drop one word in the comments.